My favorite time of year is here. Spooky season is upon us. I want to talk about some of my favorite spooky season eyeshadow palettes in my collection. Any excuse to talk about eyeshadow palettes, I'm gonna take it, and especially this time of year. I have so many spooky season themed palettes and palettes that I just think remind me of this time of year. I've already done kind of like a part 1 to this where I talked about my favorite fall palettes, and those are more like true autumnal vibes. These are like witchy, dark, smoky, that type of vibe.
Spooky, ooky, kooky.
Hello and welcome if you are new here. My name is Rachel, and if you're not new here, thank you so much for coming back. I am going to link all of the available palettes that I'm going to talk about down below in the description box. Everything that is on my face will also be down below in the description box. As I'm going through these palettes, I would love to know your thoughts on them, or what are some of your favorite spooky season eyeshadow palettes that you have in your collection? I would love to know. I have 11 palettes. I was gonna do 10, but I couldn't cut it down. And what I tried to do is only take one palette per brand, which was very difficult for some brands. And this is like my favorite spooky palette from that brand. Some brands have several, right? I'm gonna go in alphabetical order because I'm not playing favorites here. I'm gonna start off with Bella Beauty Bar first. And I have a drawer of shame, which if you've been here before, you know that. I have the basic witch palette, but I have not used it yet. And I bought it a long time ago. So apart from that one, which I haven't tried yet, which I know a lot of people love that palette, I picked the recently de-influenced palette. This was the first palette I bought from the brand after they kind of reformulated. I had maybe 1 or 2 palettes previous to this palette, and the quality of this is so good. I really love the cover art. I really love the theming. I think it's really fun and different. And on the inside, we have this color story. I love warm tones, which I would say about half of this palette is warm tones. And then we do have those more like smoky purple, blue, dark green, that which is to me more of like a witchy vibe. So I feel like this could be considered like half autumnal, half spooky season, which is perfect. One thing I don't love about this palette is I do feel like the mattes are very mid-tone to deep. There's not a lot of light mattes in this palette, but of course I can easily reach into another palette to get those tones, but I do love the Bella Beauty Bar matte formula. I love it more than their shimmer formula. I know people rave about their shimmer formula, but their mattes are so good, so buttery, so pigmented. And the shimmers are nice. They are very, very impactful, very in your face. They are gonna be the star of the show. So if you like those types of shimmers, you probably would like this. I don't know if these, I'm just pulling ones out that I love. I didn't really research if they were available or not. The point of this isn't really to make you go out and buy these palettes. It's more just about sharing my collection with you, and maybe you can pull some things out of your collection. You can shop your stash. If you have this, you could be like, oh yeah, this would be a great time to use it type of thing. I don't know if this is available. I actually think it is. Anyway, I will find out. But all that to say, I really love this palette. The quality is top notch. If you're looking for mid-tone to deep mattes and very, very special shimmers, this is a good one. I had lipstick on my teeth. Why didn't you tell me? One of the greatest challenges of my day today was applying this black lipstick. Putting on black lipstick is very hard to get precise. Does anybody else feel that way? All right, the next brand I'm going to talk about is Blend Bunny Cosmetics, and this is kind of a different take on spooky season. This was their Halloween release from 2023, and this is the Sickly Sweet palette. It is one of my favorite palettes from the brand. And the thing I love about this, and she kind of said, was it's almost like a jumbled candy bag, like a Halloween candy bag full of just fun candy tones. And I like this. Of course, it's a mainly pastel palette, which isn't very typical for this time of year. But the reason I love this is because it does have light, mid-tone, and deep shades. So I can really make a deeper look if I want to, because we have some pops of deeper mattes in here, and we also have the lighter tones as well. And so this is more like the candy grab bag spooky season palette. The shimmers in this are beautiful, very, very beautiful. More of that sparkly, shiny. There's nothing that's overly special about them. I think there is one duochrome, but just really, really good staple shimmers. And of course, Blend Bunny's matte formula is untouched. It is unbelievable. perfect pigmentation, perfect blendability. You get true to pan color without much effort. So I love that. So this is just a fun kind of like wild card pick. And by the way, as I'm popping up the swatches and close-ups of these palettes, if I did receive the palette in PR, I'm going to put the letters PR up on the top if I forget to say it. If it doesn't say PR, that means I didn't receive it in PR. I purchased it myself. And by the way, when I do put links down in my description box, there is a chance that those links are affiliated, which means I will earn a small commission if you do use those links. So thank you so much if you do. And if I have codes with these brands, I'm sure I'm popping them up on the screen. There's always a list in my description box of codes that I have with brands. Editing Rachel here. I totally forgot to mention the palette that I'm wearing on my eyes in this video, which is the ColourPop Welcome Foolish Mortals palette that they did in collaboration with Disney's Haunted Mansion that they released last year, and then they brought it back again this year. I actually bought it last year when it launched, and I'm now just getting around to using it. So I will say I have only used this palette like 2 or 3 times, but it's good. It's the good ColourPop quality. The mattes are good, you know, kind of right in the middle pigment level wise, and they've got a few different shimmer formulas in this. We've got some standard shimmers. We have one of these like glitter hybrids. And honestly, like I just love the theme of this palette. I loved the Haunted Mansion ride growing up as a kid. Every time I would go to Disney, I would get so excited for it. And I really enjoyed the movie that came out last year. That really is, you know, why they came out with this palette last year. So yeah, I really like this palette. It's definitely my favorite spooky season palette from ColourPop. I am just kind of testing it right now, but I definitely wanted to mention it. And obviously because I am wearing it in this video, I definitely wanted to mention it and I totally forgot to. So yes, that is my pick from ColourPop. The next palette I have is the Cosmic Brushes Gothic palette. The actual just like packaging alone is my favorite packaging that they've done. And it's giving spooky season. I mean, look at this. Clearly, it's like Dracula's castle encapsulated in a cover. I love this theme. And I like this size of palette from them. They usually do much larger palettes, and this is perfect for that smoky purple look. It's definitely more of a monochromatic palette. You're not gonna get a ton of variety of looks, but I do like that they have more berry tones on one side and more like cool tone purples and a pop of pink on the other side. So there is at least undertone variety in terms of purples, which I really appreciate in a monochromatic palette. And it's got light to deep, it's got beautiful mattes, beautiful shimmers. I really enjoy both types of formulas from the brand. Their mattes are really easy to work with. The shimmers are definitely more on the emollient side, so not the dry side. So depends on your preference what you like about that. And they always do incorporate an iridescent duochrome in their palettes, which I always love to have just one of those in my palette. So really like this one. It really makes me feel like I want to reach for it at this time of year. The next brand we have is Glamlight. And of course they have a slew of spooky season collections, spooky season palettes, but I have maybe 4 of them. And my favorite one is the original one that I picked up, which is the Crazy in Love in collaboration with the Bride of Chucky, or just Chucky. No, Bride of Chucky, right? Oh no, Chucky. Let me try that again. The Crazy in Love palette in collaboration with Chucky. I love the cover art, really fun. And this color story, I'm not a huge cool toned lover per se, but I do find whenever I use this palette, whenever I create a look with this palette, I love how the look comes out every time. It just looks so smoky, so like refined, because sometimes like grayish shades can end up being so blown out. They almost blend away. They're hard to control, at least that's how I find. But these ones somehow still look really refined, really defined as well. And I love this like kind of more red undertones in here. We have a couple of like purple undertones. So it's not all gray. It is very gray, but it's really gorgeous. And the shimmers in this are the really good Glamlight shimmer formula, in my opinion. They're just like super sparkly, super shiny. When Glamlight does good shimmers, they're some of my favorite shimmers. And the mattes in this are very saturated, really nice. If you are looking, again, for more mid-tone to deep mattes, this would be a really nice one for you. So yeah, really gorgeous. This is my favorite horror-themed palette they've done. Another brand that has done a lot of spooky season palettes is Gourmand Girls, and I own all of them. And the 3 that they did in collaboration with Doodles by the Bunny, honestly, all 3 of them to me are very, very on par with each other in terms of preference. There's not one that I'm really like overly obsessed with over the other 2. They're all so beautiful in their own way. They're all so unique. So I really could have chosen any of the 3 and been happy with my decision, but I just went with my instincts today. And so I chose the Nightshade palette. Again, same thing I said about the Chucky. When I created looks with this, my look every time was so beautiful. It's just a gorgeous green and purple color story, a couple of pops of yellow, which is very interesting and different. I love neutrals, but my 2 other favorite colors to wear are green and purple. So we've got that in here. We do also have a lot of like grayish based cool tones. Really, really gorgeous. I love that there is a 50-50 split of matte to shimmers here. And the shimmers in this, there's a few different types of shimmers. There are really shiny, impactful shimmers. There are a couple of duochromes. There's an iridescent shade. Really, really beautiful, great quality. The mattes in this are a little more on the buildable side. And yeah, really nice. I did receive this one in PR as well. I do have a code with Gourmand Girls. It's Rachel. But any of these like spooky season palettes, you really can't go wrong. And they did just come out with the Calavera palette for this season. And I'm still testing it, but I'm really enjoying it. That is a much larger palette. It's a little more like bright and colorful. This one is my favorite of the ones they've done. One of my favorite eyeshadow formulas is Lunar Beauty, and their Halloween release or their fall release from last year was the Siren Sunset. And this also, I mean, packaging alone, and Lunar Beauty packaging is always top notch. Very, very well done. It's got raised details, as you can see. So, so beautiful. I mean, like a work of art in and of itself. And again, we have quite a lot of smoky tones, which is that spooky vibe that I'm talking about. We do have a row up top of some like cooler toned neutrals, but they're not all gray based. They are more brown based, which is in my preference if I am gonna reach for a cool tone neutral look. And then we have this bluish purple row down here. And then we have a mix of neutrals and a couple of pops of green. The thing I love about Lunar Beauty that they do, especially with their shimmers, is they have some really good standard shimmers and they pop 1 or 2 special shades in their palettes. I don't personally need a palette full of special shimmers. I like to use them here and there. So we do have an iridescent one called Water Nymph, which is like a white to seafoam green. And then this shade Siren they're calling it a multichrome, I believe. It's not like the strongest shifting multichrome, but it is like blue to purple with like a black base, you know, these black base multichromes. Really gorgeous, really, really gorgeous. I love that it goes light to deep, both in the mattes and the metallics. Typically, Lunar Beauty does a really good job with that. And yeah, I just really enjoy this one. I don't think this is my favorite palette from the brand. Well, I know it's not my favorite palette from the brand, but definitely when I'm thinking of spooky season with the ones that they have, this is the one I think of. These next couple from these next 2 brands are definitely my favorite, like some of my favorite palettes. And actually, okay, let me back up. I'm getting a little ahead of myself. So the next brand is Nomad Cosmetics. And Nomad Cosmetics, one of my favorite brands. They are a destination-based indie brand. They do different collections based on different destinations around the world. And my favorite palette from them, not just spooky season palette, but my favorite palette from them is the Haunted Europe palette. I've talked about this so many times on my channel, so I won't go on and on and on, but look at this gorgeous packaging. This was my first purchase from the brand. And I was honestly blown away with the detail, with the embossings on the pan, with the cover art. I even kept the unit carton. I loved all the detail that went into this palette. I love this color story. My favorite thing is a color story where I can create a neutral look and also a colorful look. So I definitely feel like I've got that covered here. Warm tones, cool tones, greens, purples. There's even a couple of pops of blue, a couple of pops of berry. I definitely think their quality has improved since they have created this palette, but it still like has a special place in my heart because I bought it as the first palette from the brand and also just the whole theme behind it. I love this time of year. It's my favorite holiday is Halloween. And so I just love the theming. I also love Ghost Town USA, which I also own and is the other Halloween release that they had last year. They did bring both of these palettes back, by the way, and they're both stunning. The Ghost Town USA, I like the quality of that one better. I just like the color story of this one more. So if you are more of like a cool toned lover, the Ghost Town one is really, really nice. And then the next palette is a palette from Odin's Eye, and I did recently do a video talking about 10 favorite products from 10 favorite brands, and for Nomad, I chose the Haunted Europe, and for Odin's Eye, I chose the Trick or Treat palette. It is my favorite palette from the brand in general, and they did this in collaboration with my friend Angelica Nyqvist, so I will start off by saying there is a little bias because she is one of my friends, but with that friendship aside, I love the theming of this. I love the cover art. I love this color story. I love it. Again, greens, warm tones, light to deep in the mattes. We've got this like mustardy row up here. We've got oranges and reds. I love oranges. We have a couple of pops of green, and then we have some more like burgundy shades. Odin's Eye usually puts in like one special shade into their palettes, and then they've got some really, really good standard trimmers. Their mattes are really pigmented, really gorgeous. I just love this fun take on Halloween, a little more bright and colorful take on Halloween. It's not that super dark smoky that we're getting from a lot of these brands. I mean, absolutely beautiful. I did get this one in PR, and she also came out with another palette in this collection. I prefer this one personally, just in terms of the color story. So I had to mention this one. The next brand is Unearthly Cosmetics, and for me, I feel like they have about 25 different spooky season palettes. They're coming out with spooky stuff year round. It's like Halloween year round is what they're all about. So I had several that I was choosing from, but I think for right now, because it's at the top of my mind and I'm really enjoying the quality, I had to mention the Gargoyle palette. This quality is so good. I love the theming and the cover art, by the way. Also a great plus. And then this color story is gorgeous. Now, you guys know I'm not like the biggest fan of blues, but I did create a look with this row and I really enjoyed how it came out. We've got a neutral row at the top, which makes me very happy. And then we have this row in the middle that's got some like mint colors as well as some purples. The shimmer formula from Unearthly in these past year-ish is just top notch, just unbelievable, just amazing, sparkly, impactful, just gorgeous. And their mattes have always been good. I think they continue to be really good, very pigmented, maybe not the most beginner friendly because they do require a little bit of blending, but very pigmented. So if you like a pigmented matte, you would probably enjoy this. And I'm just very impressed with the quality. I'm also very impressed with how this is laid out. Again, light to deep in the mattes, very clearly laid out in 3 rows that you could create these types of looks that are laid out for you. But of course, you can skip around, mix and match. So yeah, I'm really enjoying this one. They have so many good spooky season palettes, but this one is one that I'm particularly enjoying right now. And the last brand we're going to talk about is Wicked Widow Beauty, another brand that I do feel like they have quite a few spooky season. Actually, I just thought of one of the ones that I didn't see. I wonder where it is. Their Scissorhands 2 palette that they came out with a couple of years ago. Love that one. I wouldn't have picked that one as my favorite, but it just came to me. Anyway, they have a lot of spooky season palettes. They came out with the Crow palette this year, and very beautiful. But I will say my favorite is the Graveyard Smash palette. I just love how cute and tiny this is. They have done a few palettes in this size, in this layout. I love the cover art, and I'm a dancer, so I love seeing Frankenstein and Bride of Frankenstein dancing. That makes me very happy. And then this color story is just so beautiful, grungy, and I really enjoy the Wicked Widow Beauty shimmer formula particularly. Again, if you're looking for very impactful, shiny shimmers that are very chromy on the eyes, they're not sheer, they're not like barely there, they're there. And their mattes are good. They are a little more on the buildable side, but still really nice. I really love this color story. And I love how cute and small this is. I love the theming. It's really cute. All right, and that is it for this video. I hope you enjoyed it. Please let me know down in the comments either your thoughts on these palettes or what are some of your favorite spooky season palettes in your collection. I would love to know because I love hearing from you. And if you did enjoy this video, please give it a thumbs up. That helps me out a lot when you do that. And if you're not already subscribed to my channel, I would love it if you would consider subscribing before you leave. I do upload videos weekly and I'd love to see you back on my channel again. I want to thank you so much for watching and I will see you next time. Bye.